Oh dear. I think we better have a bit of a weird project, don't you? To go with this weird weather. Let's turn these two into something exciting. Well, it's proper naff outside, and it's the Christmas break, 2023/24. I'm going on holiday in a couple of weeks' time. Let's turn this, or these, into something funny. Right, so from various sources, don't tell my wife, I have secured myself 2 of these small kids chuck gliders again. I'm looking at doing some sort of, I don't want to go electric because it just gets expensive. I've not got a lot of electric motors kicking around. This is a Christmas project. So basically I've sat in the living room, done some playing about, and come up with this. So if you want to freeze frame this, if I change anything I'll let you know, but this is basically what we're going to do. So I'm going to have a go at just trying to get, I'm going to try and cut everything first so it looks decent, and then we'll go from there. Right, so first thing is I have cut the wings in half, and I haven't glued these, I've just pushed these in place just as they're going to be, and also to make sure I don't end up using the wrong side. So what we've got to think about doing now is obviously using these to join our wings together. Right, I've cut the other sides of the wing, so remember I'm keeping this wing here and keep this wing in so we don't get confused. With the wing cut in half, I have measured 90. This line is 90 from the centre chord, so I'm going to cut both of these off as straight and as neat as I can and vertical as I can. The idea is we're going to join them like so. I'm just trying to keep the knife, new knife, nice and sharp, trying to keep the knife as square as possible. We're going to want a nice neat join for the centre. Right, I've just held those together with masking tape. I've marked myself a centre line, and now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to split those. The idea is it means I'm going to be drilling, so this is the spar I'm going to use, bit of a gash carbon I've got, and I've just run a very fine taper down onto that, and I'm going to go in about that far. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a bit of masking tape about where I think I want it to go. So I mean that looks about puckered, doesn't it? So if I put that, I don't think we need to go the whole way. Right, let's just run that round there, and then I'm going to drill in there as square as possible, drill in there as square as possible, and then I'm going to glue this bad boy together. So I've got my 2 halves with the sparring, not glued just yet, just using that for demonstration purposes. So the idea is I want to try and get everything cut to the right dimensions, and then we can start doing the install. So we've done the centre section, and I've got that piece of carbon which is 100mm along here, and I glued them together. I put a bit of medium cyano down inside the wing for the carbon rods, and the outside I've used a little bit of Yoo-hoo pour. So now I'm going to put these in their position where they should be, and now I'm going to try and sort out, come up with some measurements for you for the tailplane, because the tailplane, I want to try and make the elevator all moving. Okay, tailplane, all moving elevator. So basically I have cut mine down like so. Now a little tip there, because of the curves, I didn't want to, obviously I want to use these on the, what am I talking about? I've kept the outer bits. Little tip there, when you're doing the measurements, make sure that that bit that you cut is actually standing flush, because that's going to end up being our hinge. And also you might find you might just have to put the tailplane in a slight taper. I did with mine. The gap between the two fins is 180 mil, but when you get down near the fuzz it's 165, so it's a little bit difficult to get the ruler in there. But that gap between here and here is 165. Top of the rudders, because of the obviously taking the shape and everything. So I'm now going to just join these two together, making sure I get them in the right orientation, Nick. And then so I'm going to put a couple of little bits of carbon in the center to join them, and then I'm going to have a think about how I'm going to do the all moving elevator. Right, I have finished my tail at the rear. When I say finished, I've only cut it to length. Now let me show you what I did. I have literally just got one piece of two little thin slivers of carbon fibre, fairly smallish, that sort of gauge, and I've just then yoo-hoo glued that, so they're now glued. And now what I'm going to do is I'm now going to go back to the main wings to make, so the idea is I'm going to do the wing twisting for ailerons, and then this, what I'm hoping is going to be a mad stab style elevator on the back, and possibly mixing the elevator and the wing twist, so they're both going as full up elevator or both full down elevator, will make it extremely aerobatic. Who knows, but it's I think it's worth a punt for the price of the kits. Anyway, so that's the next thing I'm going to crack on with. I'm going to join the wings in the middle and then sort out the wing hinging. Obviously I'll show you as I go along. Right, had my main panel joined. Whether that's the right thing to do or not, I don't know. Anyway, the outer wings, this is exactly the same as the earlier twisty. I've come back 30 millimeters, and then I've got the actual same tube, which is going to be this carbon tube is 4 mil, and all I did was I marked myself a guideline, chamfered the edge, and then went all the way up there. So I'm just going to do that to the fuselage, the other side, and then so I'm going to put a carbon tube on the so this carbon tube is going to fit in the wing, and then this is going to, which slides beautifully, is coming out of the fuselage, and yeah, that'll work. Right, so there we go. I have inserted my carbon tube, about 50 mil in, and this is the rod. I've literally just stuck this rod to about here, and then that's going to go on there like so. That's the wing hinging, and I'm just going to cut a hole here for the servo like I did in the previous video, but I will show you that in case this is your first time you've been here. And so I'm just going to do the other one, and then we're going to look at hinging the tailplane and trying to get up some sort of setup. Just remember, I am making this up as I go along, so don't hold me to this. Right, okay, so we've successfully done our main wings. Now, I'd like to go some sort of mad stab, not completely mad stab, but an all moving tail plane. And I've ummed and ahed about tubes and sleeves and rods and stuff like that, but it's quite thin. You can see I've done a little bit of experimenting. So what I plan to do is I've got myself, I'm not sure if these are going to be the right thickness. There's some wire there, and I'm thinking about just, you can see where I've marked a centre line, because we're going to be ending up doing this. I've marked myself a centre line, and I'm thinking about feeding the wire about halfway down, like so, as much as I can, and then feeding it about halfway down in here, but gluing this in. And then the idea is I'm then going to insert these back down into those holes, and the sheer fact that the length of the wire is always going to stop this falling out. Right, all moving tail. Let me show you how I achieve that. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it works. Let me show you what I've done. Right, there is my little bit of carbon. I've added, not glue, but they're just floating, a couple of little light washers. That's going to pop in there, and that goes all the way through until it just sticks out the end, like so. I've got the same the other side. So remember, we're using the bottom hole for the tail plane, not this, because the top one is for stunts, for doing loop, and you have the wrong angle of attack for the tail plane. So I'm just going to pop that one in a little bit. Now, there's my horn. That's where the spar's going to go through. So the spar is going through here. The spar is going to go through there like so, and it's hinging on there. So the idea is that slides onto there. I pull the fuselage apart, and then that slides on there. All I'm going to do now is push the tail plane halves, these two, out until I'm happy, nothing's binding, and then I'm just going to wick some sino down the end there. But that is done. My only concern is if I made that a bit too long and it's sticking below the fuselage, but we'll wait and see. But anyway, one all moving tail. Right, so servo installation. You need to cut yourself 2 holes, and I've make them slightly smaller than the servo, and then remembering, so that literally pops in there like that. It's compressed. I reckon I could get away with flying out without, but I will just put a little bit of hot glue. And you want your arm like this, get a really nice long arm, and you want this hole on the servo arm directly over the leading edge. Then you'll get your best movement. Going to do the same on, I've done the same on the other side, so that's going there. Now remember, we're going to have to run a cable across here to join the receiver. And then I am going to put another small servo just here, and then I'm going to cut that there for the servo, and then that's going to be the servo arm for the elevator. Then we're nearly done. Right, so I've just put a little bit of hot glue on my servos, the 3 of them. I put the elevator servo up here because it was easy to feed the, and obviously it's a bit of a shame, I wasn't going to, because of the cost of the model, I wasn't going to start soldering stuff up. I might put a badge over it or something. Right, last thing is, well, two last things. We've got to hook up the elevator and we've got to do the wing hinging. Now, as you can see, I have just cut a very small slot, and I have got some heat shrink tubing, which is, this is 15mm long, and basically you can see I've just cut a little notch out there. I'm going to stick that in place like that, and then I am going to use, like so, I'm going to use medium sino, and then we are just going to get the wire, and I'll show you how I bend the wire up. Well, I'll show you a wire bent up that's going to connect straight to the servo. And the only other thing I am going to do with this one is I am just adding a couple of little washers on the ends here, just so that you don't get any stiction of it rubbing up against the fuselage, well, sorry, the root of the wing. So I'm just going to finish this one. I've got one there I've done already, and then I'll get back to you when I've done the elevator, and we should all be done and dusted. Right, there you go. One Christmas project finished. Let me just show you, those wires are dead easy to bend up. There they are there, look. And it's, let me just show you that there. So that's the heat shrink across the top, and then it's just an L shape. And people say to me, well, how does it keep it in? Well, it's the fact that it won't go against it, and when it wants to move out, the rod will stop it going. And I've had a lot of success with the twisty from Major Wing Designs. Never moved at all. I mean, you've seen on some of my previous videos, I whacked them right in. So there you go. That's going to make for some interesting flying. I'm really pleased with that. That's that elevator's on the gentle settings at the moment. So there you go. If I can think of anything more exciting, people might say to me, well, you're going to put motors on it. You know me, I like to do things as cheap as possible for the best amount of fun. So the CG is going to be interesting, so I'm going to run the CG exactly how this one is. So I think the CG was about here. I haven't got the battery in a moment, so but obviously don't chuck your balls away, because we could drop some of these back into the hatch if we need to. But I can't tell you when I'm going to be test flying it, because the weather is just so bad. In the UK it is New Year's Eve 2023, and we've had sort of 30 to 40 mile an hour winds and gale force, sort of rain, snow, cats and dogs raining, frogs, all sorts of stuff happening. And so I can't promise when but the moment I get a flyable day, I'll be out there with it.